Welcome back to the Centre Half Bench podcast. Hope you're enjoying the episodes coming out pretty much weekly. Finals are coming up, big time of the year. Anyway, there's some big stories this week, so let's bring into it.
Yeah, first thing we're going to start off with, obviously it's the back end of the season, and this is where a lot of players announce their retirements. And we've got 4 this week, and Cade Simpson, 340 games coming up this week. Paul Puopolo, Stratton, and Big Tom Bell Chambers. Jai obviously said last week retirement's not the most funnest part of the game, but it has to happen. And obviously last week with Cruiser and Gibbs retiring, it's a sad thing to see them go.
Yeah. And retiring people's careers come to an end. A young man that's 19, most likely with his career coming to the end, Elijah Taylor. Obviously, assault charges from Western Australian police during the hub where he snuck his girlfriend into the hub. He's now been stood down because he's been, he's going to court over the allegations, and Sydney have basically said it's against our beliefs, it's against our morals. We don't condemn violence against women. So he's basically been given the sack until further notice, and I don't see him coming back to Sydney or going to any club, to be completely honest, after this serious nature of these allegations.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, there are players out there that do get second chances, but
Andrew Cracker,
another one. But a big thing is the Sydney Footy Club and Adam Goodes mutually agreed to unretire the number 37 for this bloke. So to do that and to be a part of the Adam Goodes legacy, that number will forever be with him, and he's just put massive shame to it. But speaking of Sydney, Tom Papley to stay at the Swans. Obviously last year, rumours of him going to Carlton, but a deal couldn't have been done, but couldn't be reached or anything like that. But this year he's come out and said that he wants to stay at Sydney. Well, that's what Jonathan Brown is saying. But enough of big stories. Let's get into the games. Jai, kick us off.
Yeah, so first game of this round, Saints versus Eagles. Eagles winning by 15 after a late fight back. Tim Kelly arrived right before finals, having 30 touches, 15 contested and 1 goal. It's what you love to see from a big-name player finally stepping up when the time's right. And Jack Steele, also a big-name player, 26 touches, 10 contested possessions. We say it every week. What a gun is he?
Yeah, he's a monster. I think if he should be making All-Australian this year, there's no doubt about it. But a player that could be a future All-Australian, but at this stage of his career, he's just a young player. That is Big Max King. He kicked 0 goals for, and if he slots away 3 of those goals, they've won the game basically, which is just crazy to think that or the game would have been tied, or if he kicked all of them, different story. But it just shows that young players do lack that bit of confidence, and Max King, a player with boatloads of potential, he has shown that that if you are lacking confidence, you can drop off. And but if finals time comes and they're still playing like this, Max King is going to have to step up, that big key forward as well. But
speaking of stepping up, that's exactly what the Tigers did this week. Big game coming up against the Cats. Cats were favourites in a lot of ways, and Tigers, for the first time in many games, they were the underdogs. They completely proved everyone wrong. With 2 down on the bench, came out and bet the Cats by 26. The Battle of the Cats, it was hyped up, and it was meant to be the biggest game before finals, and it let us down. Cats didn't even kick a goal in the first quarter. 3 points to the Tigers, 2 goals, 5. Who did you like the look of in this game?
I like the look of this game was Jack Rewalt kicked 4 goals straight, showing off prime Jack Rewalt, big marks, big goals, and just a big time player, which you love to see from older boys in the competition. But a stat that I want to look at is, and they said this during the game, no Tigers player had more than 20 touches. But if you look into the stats deeper, 18 players out of 22 had 10 plus disposals.
Yeah, it wasn't really a big individual performance. It was a lot of mediocre or a lot of average performances from the whole team, which I guess gets you over the line. But what was definitely a below average performance was this Kangaroos lineup. Came up against the Dockers, a game that they could win, and a game, it was probably the most winnable game they're going to get for the rest of the year, and giving them a good chance of going into pre-season with some hope. However, that hope was shattered when the Dockers kicked 15 goals 9 to beat Kangaroos by 64. Nat Fyfe, 24 touches, 13 contested, destroying them, and Hogan, 4 goals, just shit all over Kangaroos.
Yeah, Dockers domination, you could say it was. And a big question now is, what do the Kangaroos need to do to develop? Rhys Shaw has come out and said, I think it's Goldstein, Higgins, Cunningham, and Zeeble are all off. Like, there's no way you're getting them. But, like, they're safe. But to say that about, like, all your all your older players, what about your stars, like your other stars in Polek, Zerha, Larky, all these good players, Ben Brown? They've got 20 players out of contract this year, and they're going to have a massive off-season.
Yeah, I guess they need to find the balance between the age and experience to help the younger blokes develop, and then obviously keeping the younger blokes that will develop. In my opinion, I'd be getting rid of one of those three that you mentioned, and I'd be keeping all the younger players, because you need only a couple older players to help develop a group, like, say, Lions with Luke Hodge. And then, yeah, you want the younger players to grow.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of older players, like older players helping out young players, what about that Port Adelaide team helping out all those young boys? Tom Rockcliffe and Travis Boak showing how to get it done with a combined 57 touches and 2 goals together.
Yeah, obviously, Boak, we mention it every week, getting better with age, 26 touches a goal and 12 contested possessions. Rockcliffe, 31 touches and a goal. For Rockcliffe, who was barely getting a game last year, from memory, he's turned this season around and he's turned his career around. Now he's looking at a final series with Port Adelaide, same with Boak.
Anyways, let's get into our favourite part of the segment, Jai. Let's get into footy stocks.
Yeah, so if you're new to the podcast, Footy Stocks is our main segment, where we talk about something we want to buy stocks in, something we want to sell stocks in, and something we want to hold stocks in. It's been going on for a couple of weeks now. I hope you're enjoying it. And if you've got any ideas for any other segments, chuck them down below. But on that note, Sash, what are you buying in?
The return of Coxzilla. Obviously, he didn't put up massive numbers. It wasn't 20 disposals, wasn't 15 marks or anything like that. But his influence on the game and his ability to surprisingly actually get around the ground was amazing. He did exactly what the Pies needed him to do. That was crash packs, take marks, and kick goals. And speaking of goals, his second goal may have been one of the highlights of the season. He takes a mark, turns around, literally runs 5 meters, takes a bounce, kicks a goal on the run.
Yeah, you don't see that from a big man. And I think we've said it before, he's such an integral part of Collingwood's forward line. Whether he's clunking them or not, as long as he can bring them to ground, like for De Goey's second goal where he brought it to ground, De Goey perfectly crumbed it and then got a goal. If he's not marking them, we just need him to bring it to ground and not get outbodied. But he showed signs of that, and I'm loving that. But I'm also loving the Suns' future. In the game on the weekend, they had very good ball movement. There were times that they were going really quick and working it very efficiently and quickly, and other times where they were kind of holding back a bit and working it up the ground. They need to work on working it aground a bit more, but that's just young teams want to go quick. But in their future, I reckon they've got a very bright future over the next 5 years. Clean up that ball movement, get more experience in them, and they'll launch into like the top 8 for the next couple of years.
Definitely. I think a premiership window is lurking for those boys, and they're going to get another. I want to say top 10 pick, possibly top 8 pick. So to add that to the players of like Rao, Lockie Weller, Anderson, Rankin, King, Lukosius, McPherson, all those boys, they're looking good, and they've got good veterans to lead them. David Swallow, Jared Witts, Brendan Ellis, Hugh Greenwood. But I think they might need an extra bit just to push them over the line. And obviously, with a lot of these players getting their second years or third years under their belt, they're gonna look a lot dangerous in the next couple of years.
Yeah. What are you selling?
Selling Giants finals hopes, I think over. They've got the Saints this week, so they could possibly beat the Saints. But the Saints are good. They're very good this year. But who knows? But if they do beat the Saints, they go in. They go into the finals. The Saints possibly missing it. So I think it's from 8th to 10th. It's going to be big. So it's a big call, but I think the Giants finals hopes are over. So from grand final to below the 8, it's a massive drop off.
Yeah, and for me, I'm selling holding the ball. The AFL needs to come out before finals and get their shit together. At the moment, watching, you don't know which way a free kick's going to go. There's free kicks where they get tackled as soon as they get the ball and they're holding the ball. Whereas there's free kicks where they try to take on a player, drop it, and it's not holding the ball. The AFL need to come out and clear that up. Obviously, the umpires are doing an incredible job in the hub, and it's not always easy umpiring, but they just got to find consistency, and the AFL's got to come out and say what that consistency is going to look like and what's adjudicated as a holding the ball and what's not. Because come finals, games will be decided by that, and it's not what you like to see.
Yeah, definitely. And when I was watching last night's game, there was a tackle where John Noble tried to release the footy, but the defender was actually holding the ball into him, and they called holding the footy. But then there was another one where Jack Crisp took a step and just completely dropped the ball, and I thought the Pies were really, really lucky for that, not to be a holding the ball against us.
Yeah, it was shit umpiring, but what are you holding on to?
Holding on to the Doggies to hold on to that 8th spot. I think they're a very, very good team. And the thing is, whether they make finals or not, they're getting the number 1 player in this draft class, which is just to add to that Bonds, McRae, and all those other boys, Bailey Smith. But I think the Doggies are holding on to that 8th spot, and they're going to and they might make a run in the finals depending on who they get. If they get the Eagles in WA, I'll call it a day for that. But if they can get, I think it's the highest they can go is 6th. If they can get 6th or 7th, they're looking good, those boys. What are you holding on to, Jai?
For me, everyone's retiring at the moment. Eddie Betts, he's a man that is at that age to retire. Obviously, still a key part of Carlton's team and their forward line. For me, his career depends on this week of football. He needs a big week to get given a 1-year contract extension. If he doesn't, I think we're going to have to say goodbye to one of the great forwards of all time. Yeah,
for sure. He's everyone loves Eddie Betts. He's one of the greatest small forwards and Aboriginal players of all time. And to see him go, it'd be sad because I still think he has a lot where he can offer a team. Maybe he goes up to the Gold Coast for a year and provides them veteran leadership, shows Rankin the ropes, and just how to be a good small forward. But I think that's going to wrap it up for Footy Stocks, and let's get back into the reviews.
Yeah, Giants versus D's. What a game. It was a battle for the 8th spot, and it didn't let us down. Trent Rivers, the young man, coming in clutch with that floating goal. It was a bit of a shank, but it floated in. And a big crunching tackle to save the game for them in the end when the ball was in dispute at the Giants' 50. Wasn't the only young man that did well. Tom Green, 30 touches, 21 contested, looking very bright for the Giants in a game where the D's were lucky to win by 5 and get closer to that top 8 spot.
Yeah, definitely. It does. It did wonders. Did wonders for the Pies, but it leaves that 8th spot open. It leaves that 8th spot very, very open. And another big thing that happened in that Giants and Demons game, obviously, Cornelio being dropped is just mind blowing, because what is Leon Cameron doing? That's his captain.
It was Cornelio himself. Cornelio came forward and asked to be dropped, I'm pretty sure.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he came forward. From my understanding, it was a mutual agreement. So they were speaking about his performance and he goes, they just agreed to drop him.
Yeah, I'm sure now that he was rewatching the game, he's wishing he could play and at least made an effort, but things are in the past. But I'm sure he's going to be running onto the field this week to help the Giants make a push for the finals.
Yeah, and young man Brett Daniels kicked 3 goals this game, and previous to that, he'd only kicked 2 in 14 games. He very much played a part in the Giants getting close to winning this. Obviously kicked an amazing goal, a dribbler from 30, 40 out on the boundary, but wasn't enough, and the Giants are left ruining what was a season that could have been big for them.
Yeah, a tale of two halves their season was going to be. Premiership or bust, basically. And they've just been a bust this year, which is sad to see, because I think their premiership window may have closed.
Yep. And next game, Blues versus Crows. Blues down by 44 in the first half. Obviously outscored Crows by 32 in the second half. Around 5 goals to bring it back to a 16-point lead. Wasn't enough. Once again, tale of two halves. Inconsistent Blues. Their good is too far from their bad, and that's what David Teague even said. Their first half was terrible. Their second half was very good, and the difference is just too big. And even with individual performances like Harry McKay's 4 goals, still not enough for them.
Yeah, and another player that I want to talk about performance is obviously everyone knows Paddy Cripps, absolute superstar in the competition, but he's probably had one of the worst seasons of his career in recent memory. Yes, there's shortened quarters, yes, there's shortened games, but for a superstar in the competition, I think he should be playing a little bit above what he is currently. But that's not taking a shot at him, that's not taking a shot at Blues supporters. I'm just saying that he's probably having the worst career, the worst season of his career.
And what Blues supporters would have loved was Bryce Gibbs getting a farewell against his old team. Honestly, it looked like he could have had another year in him, and surprised he hasn't been playing all year after getting 27 touches and a shot on goal. Obviously missed it, but he had a big game, and it leaves you wondering, why has he not been in this Crows team?
Yeah, definitely, because he played like he's been playing there this whole year, basically. He's just come out and dominated that game. From the first bounce to the final siren, he just looked really, really good. And a lot of controversy in the media with Cade Simpson and Mark Murphy carrying him off. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think that's perfectly fine. And if you've got a problem with that, go get checked, because those boys were his best mate at the club, probably still are his best mates, and there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
And the next game, Hawks versus Doggies. Doggies need 2 wins to keep their finals hopes alive. They got to win against the Hawks. Can they secure that 8 spot? It comes down to that Freo game next week once. But once again, Bailey Smith, he was elite. He's becoming in my opinion, he's the best second-year player. Obviously, Sam Walsh had him covered last year, but he's clearly stepped ahead of Walsh now. And once again, Gunston, elite in an average season for the Hawks. 3 goals this game, 27 all year. And yeah, what's been an average season for the Hawks, Gunston has been on that elite level.
Yeah, he's always been a good forward for them. He's always been a good forward in the competition. So to see a bright spark out of a team that is disintegrating, it's good for them. And a massive stat is Doggies had 6 players with over 20 plus touches. That's massive. It just shows how good the ball winners were. Your Bontempellis, your McRae's, your Bailey Smith. They played very well, those 3 boys, and that midfield 3 is looking very dangerous for the future. And speaking of dangerous for the future, Swans versus Lions, and the Lions look dangerous. They look scary.
Yeah, the Swans got very close midway through that fourth quarters, but then Lions just turned on the accelerator and just exploded. They outscored them, ended up winning by 32 points. The Lions playing without Harris Andrews, which is a big tick for them, especially in the upcoming final series. Depends what quality of forward they do come up against, because a big Charlie Dixon and they're going to struggle. But in my opinion, they got a tick for that game. And Luke Parker, double tick. Captain's performance, 32 touches, 2 goals, 18 contested possessions. In a team that lost by 5 goals, that is huge.
Yeah, definitely. And also, when you look at the Swans versus Lions game, it's not the most accurate, but the Lions kicked 11 goals 7, probably one of the more accurate score lines for the year, which is better and a lot more helpful coming finals time, because usually it'd be 7 goals 11 and we'd be talking about a lot closer game. But another big matchup on 2 ends of the oval. You've got the battle of the small forwards, probably the 2 best small forwards in the comp, Tom Papley and Charlie Cameron. Tom Papley kicked 2 goals 2 versus Charlie Cameron's 2 goals 1. Charlie Cameron and Tom Papley both had very, very good starts to the year, but kind of just dropped off the last couple of weeks. More Cameron than Papley, but it's good to see those 2 small forwards going at each other.
Yeah, and you mentioned Papley and Cameron dropping off. Someone, after 7 weeks out, that has certainly not dropped off, coming off a 5-goal game 7 weeks ago, Jordan De Goey. 4 goals 2 on return. Easy could have had 5, missed an easy shot. As well as Treloar, also big in return, 26 touches. Pies beating Suns by 22 to guarantee a spot in the top 8. Gotta love it. De Goey, big, and Cox's best game since the prelim, maybe.
Yeah, probably 100%. And with you saying De Goey could have kicked 5, he could have kicked 6 actually, because he handballed that one opening off to Mychek in the goal square, like you said, missing that shank. But we said it before during the footy stocks, but the Suns' experience let them down again, and the Pies of the veterans stepped up. Varco, Pendlebury, Treloar, Cox even played amazing, like you were saying. But the biggest milestones of the game, Jack Chris playing his 150th game. I think I saw him saying post interview he lost his 50th game with the Pies, and he also lost his 100th game. So it's good for him to see get the win. He had 23 touches and a goal. And JT, Josh Thomas, game 100. He's been on our list since 2009. And he's finally played his 100th game. Obviously, foot injuries, the suspension, and for him to finally get 200 games, you love 100 games. Sorry, you love to see it.
Yeah, I saw this crazy stat. He missed 3 years because of foot injuries from 2009 to 2012 when he debuted. And then from there, actually, I think it was maybe 2013 when he debuted. And then from there, he obviously had 2 years where he wasn't playing because of suspension and the drug saga. And then since then...
2015, 2016?
Yeah, and he's finally gotten to his 100th game 11 years into his career. And honestly, good on him. Great story of resilience, perseverance. And yeah, he deserves it. Obviously, hasn't been the biggest player in the competition, but he's certainly worked hard as a role player. And at times, individual brilliance for Collingwood.
And that was... and he finally gets his name on the locker, which is great to see. But a player I love, I adore, Braden Maynard, shanked 2 kicks. Is it that thigh injury? Obviously a left footer, right-footed thigh, but Obviously, you need both legs to run. You need both legs to play. But it cost us 2 goals, so it could have looked a lot different. Those 2 goals weren't conceded. That's a 34-point win for the Pies. So it's a bit how you're going in that regard.
And they were at crucial times as well, where we were getting ahead, and he let go of the pressure. We're putting pressure on, building, and then a quick release of pressure because of a missed kick in the kick in. But yeah, obviously one leg's injured. It does affect your kicking, but can't ignore that. As one of our best defenders, you got to be hitting targets.
Yeah, and 99% of the time he's hitting a kick, but you just show it. He very much displayed his anger with himself when he missed it, punching the ground, and obviously very frustrated with himself.
Anyway, I think that's it for this week's podcast. Thanks for listening, and thanks for your support during this podcast and Footy Frenzy 2.0. Stick with us and stay updated with all our recent videos, and we'll only get bigger and better.
Yeah, subscribe, follow, do what you got to do. Just those 2 things, and peace in the Middle East, guys. See ya.